Hey gang!
Hey there.
Day progress review. Let's see.
Okay, so today I mostly searched and destroyed a couple of bugs that were plaguing the C chart puzzle, the detective work. I'm gonna hit play right now so you can. Oh, I forgot to turn that off. You just got me in the middle of the Helmstrom section, so that's why those images were activated.
This is as raw as it gets.
Yeah.
With bugs, you know, that's how the game is really being done.
Okay,
The text looks a lot better. I asked Erasmo, Mysterium, to make the text bigger and it looks better.
So we're gonna hold this a little. One of the many things I did is start implementing extra art on the lower deck section. In this part, what you have to do is tell a story to a very weird man that lurks in the lower decks. He's the only crewmate that knows the exact coordinates of the
A
cursed
survivor of the witnessing of this island.
Yes, so you have to entertain him with a story. And the way I left it a few days back was that you just select a few dialogue options and that was it. But Javier correctly suggested that there wasn't enough feedback for you to know if you were telling him the right story or the wrong story. So I got in touch with our artist and asked him to draw additional facial expressions and reactions so that you guys can know if, oh, okay, now he's getting mad, now he's happy, things like that.
I suggested using Tarantino's references. If you remember his photography, he makes these aggressive close-ups in order to better convey emotions. For example, in Kill Bill.
Right, so let's start.
Yeah.
When you start seeing the story, you get a clear close-up of this man, and he's actually based on one of our users, and we're going to see him make a few funny faces. So let's tell him right now kind of a boring story to see how he reacts. So right now he's like, really? That's it? And it, for us at least, is very clear from the way his eyes are positioned that he's not really convinced or entertained of this part of the story that you're telling him. Furthermore, we highlighted like the important bits of information so that if the image isn't clear enough, you pay attention to this text, and he say, "That's no news."
Yeah,
so
that
okay,
works.
I didn't tell him something interesting. We zoom out again, and we can see his entire face. Now let's tell him that maybe he was Portuguese. I'm not gonna stop to read the entire. Oh, this actually is very long. I have to change this one.
Yeah, based on this.
Yep.
Today I said with Mig that we should have only 2 sentences. It's a guideline per note. That way it doesn't feel like a wall of text. If we have something on bold or italics or in color, then we can have 3 sentences.
Yeah, I'm not gonna change the entire thing today, but I'm gonna put a note to divide.
Yeah.
Okay. Now moving forward, here I'm still missing to highlight the yes, I knew it, but here we can see that he's very happy. He's actually smiling of whatever we told him right now. But now we return to a more neutral reaction because we're approaching the final gap of this story. So yeah, let's keep going.
We have to probably also split these messages so that our players more easily follow through the dialogue.
Yes. And now we see a close-up and a very clear description that says he's trying to contain his laughter. So
I believe you added this cue, right?
Yep.
Yeah, this is a good cue.
He's trying to contain his laughter, which means that whatever he just told us a few seconds ago, it's probably not the truth. So let's try calling him Bluff. And he's happy once again. Okay, so now you saw progress with the lower decks. There's of course other reactions for the other parts of the conversations.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is the quarter deck. As you know, this was the most troublesome part of the entire puzzle. It had a lot of bugs. For example, the astrolabe.
Yeah. But
was
right now, let's
transparent.
only see the progress of the day.
Yeah. As you can see, it's no longer transparent.
Nice.
Now let's solve it very randomly, because there was another thing I wanted to show you. Well, I created a new game object that actually resets the entire puzzle whenever you hit the yes, I did something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Is this correct? So if I hit no, it should reset the entire thing. Yeah, a wise decision. Okay.
Yeah, I'll edit this in order to make it with a better pace, but right now naturally it's working.
Yeah, and you can.
Nice. Yeah. Once again we see the light. We had the issue that if you tried it again, we would not see the light of the astrolabe.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's because. Well, I'm not going to go into too much detail.
Yeah, but it's it was necessary, and it's excellent that you corrected that.
Yeah. That's about the most visual things I can show you with my progress of the day, because the others, well, a little bit of that's a little bit of code missing here and there. It was a little bit of, like I said, search and destroy box. But just to see a little bit of what's done, let's see what was to do. Not this one, not this one, that was yours. There was also lots of notes that had too much text, and I separated into smaller paragraphs. As you saw with the conversation with Isauro, there's still a few of them that I have to keep separating. And I actually found something potentially useful in the documentation of the dialogue system. Apparently, there's a way. I'm still not sure
To
how
split
to do
the notes.
automatically.
Yeah,
Yes, that
with
you
this
that
line.
you write that
Yeah.
you write a humongous line of dialogue, and if you just put like horizontal lines or something like that,
Vertical.
vertical lines, the paragraph is automatically split into smaller notes. I haven't tested it. I still haven't tested it. I just found out.
Yeah,
that
let's
the
try that. I also read that in the documentation recently. Yeah.
Okay, so right now, since we've already written everything into very small notes, I'm just gonna test this with one that has like an especially large paragraph, probably one of Isaro's. And if I see that it's actually more efficient than to split the notes, which it sounds like it will be, that will actually help you, I think, write like a very long line of a very long conversation and not waste so much time creating notes, making links, things like that.
Yeah, definitely. It will be very efficient.
Okay, so that's my progress for today. Tomorrow, one of the very first things I will do has nothing to do with Unity. Is check our bank statement, because supposedly tomorrow we finally get our money from the GDC
you could
relief
turn
fund.
the camera so that I can see you too.
Yeah. So I've been in touch with these guys, the GDC Relief Fund. I believe they're from the UK. I'm not entirely sure.
They are organized by Rami Ismail, a game developer, an indie game developer.
Yeah, and these guys are super awesome. They realized that a lot of indie developers all over the world were affected very negatively because of the cancellation of GDC. So they started to collect donations in order to...
These guys.
Yeah, they collected a lot of donations in order to pay for the travel expenses of several developers.
Compensate, because we were going to demo our game at GDC in San
And
Francisco.
since we're a small studio, we don't have a lot of extra cash to well, just skip GDC and that's it. So tomorrow we've been in contact with this fund, and tomorrow's supposed to be the day when we actually receive the full refund of our lodgings and plane tickets. I think yes, of those two things. So that's one of the first things I'm going to do tomorrow. It's supposed to arrive tomorrow, but I'm not sure the time. So I'm gonna check periodically, and once I have it, I'll share it with you and Berenice.
Would it need to be more efficient to just check by the end of the day?
Well, it's just that Jay, that's the name of the person that I've been in contact with GDC Relief Fund, asked me that as soon as I get confirmation, I let her know. Because the first time we applied for the GDC Relief Fund, there was a bit of a mix-up with our information, and she very graciously told me it's no problem. I'm going to delete your original submission and I'm going to put another one, but please let me know as soon as everything is in order.
I understand.
So yeah, I'm gonna check that periodically, and tomorrow I'm finally doing the Helms room, the final part of the detective work puzzle, and I'm not sure if it's okay to right now link this part of the puzzle to the rest of the story, but I believe it can be done.
I think it would be better to try it before rather than later.
Okay, so yes, so I'm going to write a very functional scene when you just pretty much say you succeeded, you failed.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I agree.
And once I corroborate that actually works, that it's actually taking into account all the things you did in all the other sections, I'm going to link the result of the Helms room to the main conversation of the story.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what I did today, and what I'm going to do tomorrow and probably over the weekend.
Excellent. On my end, I followed through with invitations and also continued editing the story. First, Zev Siegel is one of our advisors. He's the co-founder of Starbucks.
And by his own words, my brother from another mother.
Yes. He asked me to help him to make posts in LinkedIn. He is advising several entrepreneurs like us in the world, and he wants to create videos of how are we making use of COVID-19. How are we still working?
Oh, okay.
How are we still working? Even some of the entrepreneurs that he advises, they apparently are finding new opportunities during this crisis. I don't know exactly how can I help. He said that we should have a call, so I looked for him, set the time. We're going to speak on Friday. We're going to have a Skype conversation.
Just top of my head, these videos with our progress of the week, maybe he could find a use for those?
I'm not sure. I'll have this conversation with him in order to identify how best can I help him.
Yeah, he's a cool kid.
Yeah, he's a very kind person. That's another very useful difference between how businesses are done in the US, in Europe, in contrast with here. The role of mentorship doesn't exist here in Mexico. We're very fortunate that I got him to mentor our game. All right. Another thing is that we were invited to something similar, the Mexican version of Nintendo Direct. Yeah, there's a Mexican entrepreneur who by himself is organizing something similar. He's finding interesting indie games from Mexican studios, and he's organizing so all these small clips of games appear in one video. I already directed him towards Pedro, our community manager, because there are a lot of things that have to be done. For example, I don't know what's the demographic, what's the audience, and what are the next steps. So we'll have to do that. But I connected the dots.
Okay.
While I was in the bike, I also got in touch with our Twitch users. I saw that right now there's donation drive in Twitch for a hospital in the US. And there was an interesting dynamic. There was this streamer called Jazz, I believe, Jasmine. And whenever her users made a donation, she would draw on her face animals and Pokemon. And she looked very funny. She's not a good drawer. So there could be two things. This drawing of tattoos on her face, or she could also draw a Pokemon very badly. We want to make a donation. We want to have a positive impact. And we discussed internally that we could have an impact against COVID-19. Another activity that we could have in the future, I had the idea after watching her stream, was that Chava could draw. Our artist is very impressive drawing and he can do it very quickly and live. And another thing is that we could have, for example, you make a donation, you request something, and Chava draws it, and at the same time I draw it. I'm the worst possible artist that you can imagine, at least drawing.
Yeah, it's actually very impressive to see him draw.
Yeah. So that could be fun, and we could increase the donations of our prototype. Yeah, with an activity like that.
Yeah,
naturally,
seriously, our hospitals need the money.
Yeah, Mexico has a double-edged sword, has an interesting opportunity. In the US, a friend explained to me just this weekend that money is not enough, because even with money, hospitals cannot buy the supplies they need, like masks. In contrast, here in Mexico, there are still masks that can be bought. However, hospitals don't have money. So donations can have an impact in order to fight COVID-19 here in Mexico. All right, so naturally we will need that Pedro, our community manager, hypes our community little by little, lets them know that we will release our prototype and that we will donate towards fighting COVID-19. I am still editing the text. As you say, there are a lot of different corrections. Right now, I am not directly editing inside Unity in order to prevent that we lose some of your progress.
Yeah, that's the thing about the dialogue system that we're using. It's very easy to crush the entire system if we work on the same conversation.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter. I started working elsewhere and eventually I will...
Twine? Or...
Yeah. Right now I'm in Twine.
Okay.
And
Twine, remind me, I can't access and see changes done in real time, right?
you can't.
Oh, that sucks.
I have to export every time that I... But it's not necessary that you see the changes, because I believe I will do the changes.
Okay.
Because you have plenty to do. Alright, so that will be the progress of the day. It's great still working on towards releasing our Lovecraft plus Aztecs title for you.
Just imagine what we're going with COVID-19. Well, the Aztecs actually had something very similar with, what was it, chickenpox? Viruela?
Viruela.
Is that chickenpox?
Yeah, I believe it's chickenpox in English. Yeah. Alright, we'll see you guys
when
soon.
they fail, we will prevail.
Indeed, yeah, we know this stuff. This kind of apocalypse. Take care.
See ya.